want you to notice the second angel's message. It's found in Revelation chapter 14 and verse 8. Revelation chapter 14 and verse 8. And another angel followed. Notice the sequence. We have to preach the second angel's message before we preach after we preach the first, never before. We can't reverse the order, in other words. It says in Revelation 14 verse 8, and another angel followed, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city. Now, notice the expressions. Babylon is fallen, is fallen. When the Bible repeats something, it means that it is really fallen. When God repeats something, it's because it wants to intensify the expression. In other words, Babylon is really fallen, and you'll notice that Babylon is called that great city. Now, why did Babylon fall? Notice the last part of verse 8. It says, because, here's the reason why Babylon falls, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. In other words, Babylon has fallen, truly fallen, because Babylon gives wine to the inhabitants of the earth, and they become drunk with the wine of her fornication. In other words, we need to understand that the reason why Babylon falls is because she gives wine to the nations instead of accepting the first angel's message. You see, the reason why Babylon falls is because she rejected the first angel's message. The first angel's message has the truth of God. The wine of Babylon is the error of Babylon. In other words, they are opposites. The first angel's message is God's message. The wine of Babylon is the devil's message. And the reason why Babylon falls is because she gives her wine to the nations in contrast to the truths that we find revealed in the first angel's message. Now, in our study today, we are going to analyze what is Babylon. And then in the next two sermons in this series, we're going to study what is Babylon's wine, and then the third in this short series of three that deals specifically with Babylon, we're going to talk about Babylon's fornication. And so today, what is Babylon? Our next topic, what is Babylon's wine? And then, what is Babylon's fornication? Now, I must tell you that the Babylon that we're going to study is not the Babylon of Genesis 11. That is the original Babylon. We're going to study primarily what is known as the Neo-Babylonian Empire. The Neo-Babylonian Empire is the Babylon of Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylon of the book of Daniel. And you say, why are we not going to go all the way back to Genesis 11? Why are we going to take the Babylon of Nebuchadnezzar as our basis for study? The reason is simple. The book of Revelation draws primarily upon the stories that we find in Daniel that deal with the Babylon of Nebuchadnezzar. Let me give you three examples. Revelation 13 and verse 2, we find some very interesting powers mentioned, and I'd like to invite you to go with me there. Revelation chapter 13 and verse 2. It says, now the beast which I saw was like a leopard, his feet were like the feet of a bear,